Who is the man behind some of the greatest artists and albums in pop music history of all time, like Michael Jackson, Donna Summer, Quincy Jones? His name is Bruce Sweiden, one of the greatest mix engineer, recording engineer, and record producer of all time. Hello everyone, my name is Davide Sonten and welcome to a new episode of Davide Sonten TV. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell to get updated for my new videos. Today we're going to talk about one of the greatest recording engineer and mixing engineer and record producer of all time. His name is Bruce Sweiden. Bruce Sweiden, with his innovative mixing and recording techniques, has been able to change the history of recording, and it contributed to the success of many artists like Michael Jackson, Paul McCartney, Mick Jagger, Donna Summer, Barbara Streisand, Ricky Martin, and the list goes on. He won 5 Grammy Awards as Best Engineered Recording for the albums of Michael Jackson, Thriller, Bad and Dangerous, and Quincy Jones' album Q's Jock Joint and Back on the Block. Bruce Sweiden was born the 19th of April 1934 in Minnesota, Minneapolis. His parents were both classically trained musicians, leading him to develop his passion for music and recordings. In fact, Bruce, in some of his interviews, tells the story about his parents when they gifted him his first recorder, and since that moment he understood that music and recording would have been his career, and so it has been. Bruce Sweiden started his studio career in Chicago Universal Studios, at the time managed by another great sound engineer, Bill Putman. And later on here in Chicago, he met Quincy Jones, that he was vice president of Mercury Recording. Here in Mercury Recording, he produced and released a few records with Quincy Jones. And later on, he moved at the end of 60s, beginning of 70s, to Brunswick Records, where he helped to develop the sound and the studios of the label. Like I was saying at the beginning, Bruce helped to change the history of recording. In fact, it has been pioneer for the acousonic recording techniques. That is the technique that use multiple mics to record one instrument. In the 60s and in the 70s, most of the instruments were recorded with just one microphone, so recorded in mono, and then later on mixed in stereo. But because Bruce wanted to achieve a deeper and richer sound in his mixes, he thought about to start to record the instruments with stereo microphone techniques. Using these multiple microphone techniques, Bruce was able to achieve a richer and deeper sound in his mixes, and to add a dimension as well, not just left to right, but as well a dimension back to front. Among his stereo microphone techniques, one very interesting was in the way that was recording backing vocals. Instead of using just one mic in front of the singers, like most of the sound engineers of the time they were doing, it was using a stereo pair of large diaphragm condenser mics, in this case the U47, placed in the middle of the room. Then was placing the singer in circle around the microphones. And what he was doing, it was recording first all the harmonies together, and then in separate takes it was recording the single harmonies. In the second moment it was moving then all the singers closer to the mic, always in circles, and again recording all the harmonies together and then separately. In this case, so it was achieving a richer and deeper sound that was fitting much better inside of the mix, and as well was creating a better separation between the lead vocals and the backing vocals. In one interview, he described as well how it was possible for him to achieve that large and deep sound for synths, that at the time, synths, like he described, it didn't have such an interesting sound. Practically what he was doing was playing the synths through speakers in another room, and in this room was placing a stereo pair of microphone, always a U47 large diaphragm, always in the Blumlein position like he was doing for the backing vocals, but pointing not towards the source, towards the speakers, but on the opposite direction. In this way, it was possible to capture the acoustic and the sound of the room. In the mix, then, mixing the direct sound of the synths with the acoustic of the room was giving a bigger and deeper sound to the synth itself. Another very interesting technique that he was using, it was in the way that he was recording double bass. For example, instead of placing just one mic in front of the double bass between the bridge and the neck, what he was doing, so he was using a small diaphragm condenser mic. In this case, he was using the Altec 21B, if I'm not wrong, and he was practically wrapping the microphone in bubble wrap paper to isolate the microphone, and then inserting the microphone under the bridge of the double bass with the capsule pointing towards the neck of the double bass. Like this, was able to capture not only the deepness of the sound of the double bass, but as well the sound of the strings on the neck. Bruce Sweiden had a large collection of microphones, and between them his favorites were the Neumann U47, the AKG 414 EB that he was using especially to record acoustic piano, the Altec 21B that we saw that he was using to record double bass, but between them as well some ribbon microphones like the RCA 44 and the RCA 77BX. In an interview, he describes that at the moment of the recording of Don't Stop to Get Enough of Michael Jackson, he was particularly worried in what way to record the bottle percussion. So he thought about to use some ribbon mics, because ribbon mics by nature, they're not able to get all the peaks of a transient, achieving like this a smoother sound. But Bruce Sweiden hasn't been just a great sound engineer. In fact, he's often described as a great person to work with that was putting a lot of passion and care on his work, and a lot of care towards the artists that he works with. Some of his advices to become a great sound engineer were, for example, not to listen to others' recordings, because like this you cannot really develop your own sound, and as well to listen a lot to live music in naturally acoustic environments, because like this you can really perceive the position of the instruments in an environment and reply that in your mixes. So what else to say? Bruce Sweiden, thank you for the music and thank you for all your teachings. You will be missed. I hope you'll enjoy this video. Please like, subscribe and hit the notification bell to get notified for my new videos. And thanks for watching. See you soon. Ciao.